Mouse is. This is our agenda. I may have screwed. This has been changed here very quickly in the last minute. Let's go ahead. Everyone do a quick check-in. Call sign name unit. I'll call you off. Kirk, why don't you start? I'll call you guys off. That way I'll make sure everyone gets in. Kirk, go ahead.
Go ahead with my presentation or go ahead with my call?
Go with your check-in.
Oh, okay. Kirk Reagan, N5XJB, November 5 X-ray Juliet Bravo,
We heard
District 14 Northwest.
Okay, you go ahead. You're muted, Peter.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Peter, KE5STL, Kilo Echo 50 Tango Lima. I'm not sure which section I'm in, but anyway.
Hi, South Texas. Dave, go ahead. You're muted.
Did you throw it to me, Sherwin? Dave,
Yeah.
WE5HJV, Northwest Unit. And Peter, I thought you were up Montgomery County, aren't you?
Yeah, but I was actually joined with one of the District 14 sections,
Okay.
Okay, Lee.
districts.
Lee.
WA5 LEE Tomball, District 1 DEC and 14 Northwest AEC.
Okay, Mike. Michael Livingston, AG5ZG.
All right. I'm AEC for Northwest, and I'm the CERT liaison.
Okay, I've got a phone number here ending in 1112. Please introduce yourself.
Mark Reardon, Kilo India 5, Romeo Mike Alpha.
Thank you, Mark. Walter, you're next.
Hey, Walter Paniak, N5TQ, District 14, AEC.
Okay, Mark Landris. You're muted.
Yep.
There you go.
WB5ANN, Mark. I'm District 14.
Ben, you're up.
Ben Gillis, K5TDN, Kilo 5 Tango Bravo November, ADEC Northwest Group.
Good deal. Luke Bugler.
Luke Bugler, K0 LTB, District 1 EC.
John Sawyer.
Hey everybody, John Sawyer, KD5 UAEC Northwest.
Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie Matthew, N0XFD. I don't currently live in Texas, so, but I'm emeritus, a visiting former member. I'll show.
Okay, Robbie, you're next.
N5OL, Robbie Ratnala, District 14 Northwest.
Bruce.
Bruce, KK5DO, District 14 Northeast.
Jeff just popped in on my screen. Jeff, go ahead and introduce yourself.
KE5FGA, Jeff Northwest.
Wow. Let's see. George, you're up.
George Fletcher, AD5CQ, Southeast Unit.
Okay, George Young.
George Young Klein, Northwest, D14, N5 NBS.
Rick, you're up. You're muted.
It's Rick, NR5TX, District 14 Northeast Unit.
Okay, Leroy, you're muted.
Yeah, Lee, WA5QXC, Southwest portion of District 14.
Sounds good. Mike, KI5MIK.
I'm Mike Lambert, KI5 MIK, and I'm in Southwest.
Okay, thank you. John, KC5LAA.
John Patterson, KC5LAA, District 14 Southeast AEC and Galveston County AEC.
Thank you. Michael Lavender, you're muted.
It's Mike, Alpha Echo 5 Mike Zulu, Northwest ARES, Harris County. And Mike Livingston, I have signed up for CERT.
Okay, guys. Ron, KE4DRF.
Ron Bosch, Kilo Echo 4, Delta Romeo Foxtrot, and I'm in the District 14 Southwest Unit, and I'm the section traffic manager.
Thank you. Dom, N5TCB. You're muted, Dom. Oh, Dom, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is N5TCB, Dom, Northwest Unit, District 14, AEC training.
Thank you. Oh, what is that? KB5PJY. I don't recognize it. Please.
Okay, David, KB5PGY, AEC training for Southeast Quadrant, District 14.
Okay, I think Dave's introduced himself. These things keep popping around. I'm trying to pick you guys up as the ones I haven't missed. Larry, KF5OXQ.
Larry Lane, KF5OXQ, District 14 Northeast. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sean, you're up. You're muted. There you go.
John, KG5IRM, EC for Northwest.
Thank you. Russell.
Russell Richter, WP2AHG, District 14 Southwest Unit EC.
Thank you. Patrick.
Hi, this is Patrick, W0PCW Northwest section, and also the chair for the Sci-Fi Shirt Amateur Radio Group with the club call sign W5CFC. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Lloyd Coker.
Yes, sir. It's Lloyd Coker, Cypress, Texas, District 14 Northwest, and a member.
This thing keeps jumping around on me. I'm sorry, guys. Did I get David Scott yet? Okay. Sherry, introduce yourself, please.
I'm Sherry, Whiskey Mike 5 November, Southwest Unit, and also AEC for District 1 Fort Bend.
Thank you.
And NTS liaison.
Thank you. Herbert, KD5PQJ.
No problem to break up the book and
Herbert, you're muted.
have everybody kind of.
Yeah, I hear you.
They're going through it, and then we just do person.
KD5PQJ, Herbert, Southwest.
Okay, Mark Route.
Got you down for the Richmond. That leaves us with Houston and Katie.
Someone mute their mic if you hear other people. Mark, you're up.
Sherry, mute your mic.
Again, looking for volunteers and Katie.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Mark, you're up. Mark Reardon.
Yeah, Mark Reardon, Kilo India 5, Romeo Mike Alpha.
Okay. Have I missed anyone? These things have been bouncing around and people have been popping in and out. If I've missed anyone, please just speak up now. No?
Marnie Rosen, Kilo Echo 5, Mike Sierra Delta, District 14, CERT Liaison, visiting.
Thank you, Marty. I'm glad you spoke up. Anyone else?
I see a KB5JTJ.
Okay, good deal. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to call check-ins done. Thank you very much. We've got an abbreviated meeting tonight. We've shifted things around because we got a couple of people that need to bail out early to do the net. So I'm going to ask Kirk to do a debrief on the Buffalo Bayou. That was back in February. Help me there, Kirk. What day was that?
That was February, actually March 5th this year, a couple weeks ago.
Okay, let me see. There we go. You're up. You have any slides you need?
Oh, I've already got the slides.
Okay.
Oh, let me go ahead and share.
Yeah, how do I turn mine off?
I'll take over.
Go ahead and take over.
Yep. There we go. And hide the board meeting controls. All right. Everybody see the slide?
I see it.
You good to go?
All right. Anyhow, the 50th annual Buffalo Bayou Regatta was held Saturday, March 5th, 2022. The net control team was led, of course, by Lee Glassman, WA5LEE. I was the net control lead, with KJ5EMP was the tracking net control. KD5U was alternate net control, along with K0LTV, Luke, who was handling all of the Texar net control operations. Now, for those of you who may not know what it is, a little brief history about the regatta. Bunch of boats floating down a waterway is not even the half of it. Back in 1970, it began as a Buffalo Bayou canoe race. And 2 years later, they dubbed it the Reeking Regatta due to the fact that there was so much sewage, trash, clay mud, all kinds of other happy, dumb stuff in the water. And everybody, pretty much could have gotten dysentery just from floating in it. But anyhow, point is, it was a pretty big event even then. And now it's hailed as one of the largest canoe and kayak, well, actually Texas's largest canoe and kayak race. The first organizers were actually just a group of enthusiasts who were actually looking to preserve one of the natural resources that we had in Houston, which was the Buffalo Bayou. Very little attention at the time was actually paid to boater safety. As you can tell by this picture here, do you see anybody with personal flotation devices except their boats? I don't. The event organization had changed several hands up until 1986, when the Buffalo Bayou Partnership was actually founded and later took over the event. Since then, hundreds of paddlers now sign up every year and take part in the annual affair. This year we had over 600. Safety is now priority one, as many organizations and volunteers are leveraged all up and down the line to ensure strict adherence to proper use of personal flotation devices, and especially with the competitive racers. I mean, even you can see that little doggy right there in the picture. He got a personal flotation device. Where do the hams fit in? I know you guys are probably already asking that question. And so as you wish, I'm going to tell you, we've existed behind the scenes for plenty of years supporting this race. And we traditionally provided spotter support in various points along the 14-mile course. As you can see here in the Voss, Farther, Woodway, Westcott Points, Shepherd, Dunleavy, Studemont, Sabine, Sesqui Park, or Sesquicentennial Park, was a new point that we just put in between Sabine and Preston. And of course, the command post was located at Allen's Landing, right next to the waterway. Now, hams, when we place ourselves along the route, we're placing ourselves in remote locations, watching for the boat numbers and reporting for the leaders of each division in net control. We support things like water issues, overturned crafts, obstructions, hazard, and missing PFDs. Many years that we've been doing this, we've been strategically placing ourselves along the way to be able to catch the most notorious areas where people could be having problems and or working through. Now, in the past, previously our support team actually used just a single repeater, and each ham used an HT that was self-supplied to handle all communications we were required. There was no ICS, no NIMS procedures developed or utilized in the support of this particular event. That shady spot you see under the bridge there, that's where we had a fold-up pair of tables, and Texar was right along with us operating under that. Now, when it rained, and it rained, most oftentimes it rained. And in that situation, it didn't matter that we were under a bridge, we still got very wet. Net control. 2021, just this last year. We'll fast forward to that. Noticing the what if possibilities, we realized that ICS procedures needed to be developed and protection from the elements were actually needed, and resource tracking capabilities were a smart addition to our position. From a fold-up table under the bridge, we moved to a logistics forward operating command trailer, courtesy of the Harris County Office of Homeland Security Emergency Management. This constituted an 11-foot trailer with external 5 kW generator supplied, onboard Wi-Fi, and a 48-inch flat screen TV, which allowed us to show our newly developed tracking map, courtesy of Pete Belbin, who is here with us, KE5STL. And that allowed us to track in real time things like the rescue boats, the Texar boats, the sweep and broom boats, and the division leader positions. Seated, as you can see here, 4 to work on various equipment. That was until the rain fell. The rain fell so hard that soon we had 14 people, standing room only, in a torrential downpour as it hammered the finish line and destroyed pop-up tents and for the race officials, and actually ended up with 3 feet of rapid water where we used to have our net control. Can you imagine 14 people in that little trailer? Trust me, they were there. Learning from the many years of events and the deluge of 2021, we requested and received the use of now the 34-foot mobile operation platform from Harris County Logistics, and we really kicked it up a notch. We also utilized 15 Motorola P25 radios issued to our spotter teams for clear communication of activity in support of the race. This meant we no longer had to use HTs for that particular purpose and encounter dead spots in the repeater coverage, because a lot of places were under a bridge and thus in a dead spot for certain repeaters. Not to mention, in the command post, we had hot coffee and voodoo donuts. Now, we still used other radios besides the P25. Texar had their own P25, I believe it was P25 radios for net control. And our liaison from the Houston Fire Department had the ability through geofencing to dispatch fire, EMS, and law enforcement officers from any 911 call along this course or any report from our hams in rescue boats. As an added bonus, halfway through the event, we pulled a surprise repeater switch. I was in charge of the VHF net, and we pulled a repeater switch exercise on all the hams and switched over our primary net to the new W5NC 146.66 repeater to conduct the VHF tracking of wildlife and the water, such as Nacho the alligator. As you can see here, that was Nacho in the water, and he was only 500 feet upstream from the finish line. The served agencies that we helped along the line was City of Houston Fire Department, of course, Texas Search and Rescue, and the Buffalo Bayou Partnership. Specifically, we had a remote display, as you can see in the picture below, to display the race stats to free up the officials at the finish line to collect data, because they were constantly getting inundated with people saying, hey, what was my time? What was my time? What was my time? While they're busy trying to catch the numbers and put the time in. The monitor was mounted on the side of the mop, utilizing the local area mesh Wi-Fi broadcast system. It worked flawlessly. That was really helpful. Overall, they called this a real successful race. They had the beer, but of course, we had the donuts. With that, I'll take any questions.
How many volunteers did you have on the day, Kirk?
Oh, let's see. Well, you know, the whole thing is wrought with volunteers from top to bottom, and it isn't just hams that volunteer. This year, though, due to the fact that it was also occurring on the same day as the Woodlands Marathon, which I'm sure you know well about. we were kind of stretched a little bit for ham volunteers, and I think we really had only 8 of the 12 spots able to be manned. So we had to pick and choose our battles accordingly, and luckily we got away with it pretty well.
So how did the P25s work out? Did you have any issues with them?
Oh, absolutely none. Every location we had the P25s at, there was crystal clear and no problems whatsoever utilizing those.
So there wasn't a training issue with any of the people trying to deal with.
Oh no, all of our hams already knew how to handle a radio, and we explained the protocol to them, and we only need to mention it once.
Okay, good.
Next victim.
Any other questions for Kurt?
What would you guys do differently next time based on how it went this time?
Well, case in point, we did have one of those little debriefing conversations with the Buffalo Bayou Partnership later on the next week. And I was able to discuss with them, quite a few things that we were doing. Among the lines of tracking, they want to actually get some of those kind of like, are you aware of like Texas Tag and the way that they generally track people running through the toll booths? Apparently
RFID.
Yeah, RFID. Basically, they want to put RFID behind the stickers of the competitive boats and be able to track them that way. That's one suggestion. They've been bouncing that back and forth for a couple of years. It's getting more and more possible that they'll be able to do that. So that may be something that they get into next year. Other challenges that we've noticed is getting in and out of the parking lot near Allen's Landing is a bit of a challenge, especially when you have larger vehicles. And in particular, the 34-foot mobile operation platform nearly got stuck coming in and definitely got stuck getting out. So we're going to be working with the owners of the gated in lots that actually give us a route in, and we're going to try and work with them to get it opened for that one day a year, so that we can actually get vehicles such as that in and out safely.
I have a question. How did you go about arranging the use of the trailers?
Lee, would you like to answer that?
Sure. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Lee.
How you doing? Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of training with Joey Clements up in Harris County, and we're kind of kindred spirits as far as emergency communications instruction and stuff. And what we basically had to do was request it. We put in 214 RR several months ago, and I dealt closely with Joey as well as his staff to make sure that everything that we requested was either available or not available, spec'd out correctly. They considered it an exercise on several different levels, both the department who issued the cached P25 Motorola's. They used that as a training exercise to get everything set up on the correct talk group that was allocated to us, and the logistics department used it as a training to get themselves better prepared, because obviously not a lot has gone on, knock wood. The equipment is there, and Harris County encourages the different MCOM groups to utilize it. If you're, if you have a cause and you have personnel that are trained to a certain level and they are sure that you can operate whatever they give you in a safe and efficient manner, they'll have no problem getting that equipment.
I have been coordinating a little event that Mike could use some equipment like that.
You mean those couple of airplanes flying around, or the Houston Marathon?
The ones that like to have lots of people trample the trash along the streets of Houston.
Okay, well, I was up at the George R. Brown, so I don't know exactly what you guys had on the ground as far as command posts are concerned. But if that's something that you think we might benefit from next year, I mean, Harris County.
Yeah, one of the challenges we had was launching RF out of the Harris or the City of Houston's Emergency Center, and one of the thoughts that surfaced quite late was trying to park a trailer outside and do some coordination with inside, and we because of the city's facilities, they're reluctant to let anybody go on the roof because they already have leaks. And so perhaps having a trailer that you can actually launch RF in and out from that site, from the parking lot of the emergency center, might be quite helpful. So anyway, may need some assistance in getting that coordinated towards the end of this year.
I don't see that would be a problem. I'm sure they'll be very accommodating. Just bear in mind the mop and the trailer. Neither one of them have much in the way of infrastructure other than TVs, monitors for computers. They don't have radios. They don't have antennas. They don't have there is telephones in the big truck, but it's on the Harris County network. So that would be something that we could definitely discuss. So you know how to reach me. I'll be more than happy to introduce you to the people that need to get it done. I figured you were way ahead of me on this curve.
Question, please.
Go ahead.
Have there been any friction points with the various entities involved, or does everybody pretty much run on the same page?
Everybody pretty much worked together on this. The only entity we really didn't have a really lockstep work with was really the Houston Police Department, as they were running other events in the area, and we at least let them know what we were doing, and they let us know what they were doing. We just kind of tried to stay out of each other's way. Other than that,
I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit if I can. Last October, when we ran the 49th version of this, they had the Susan G. Komen run, which effectively shut down half the streets for our radio people to gain access to their spotting locations. And they actually refused entry on the bridges for a couple of people. Mike Lavender can attest to that. He was on one of the spots that they weren't allowing people to park, and it became very difficult to access and egress the location. This year, we actually liaised with HPD and found out that the one event that they were having was only going to affect one of our spots, and we adjusted accordingly. That was one of the reasons why we added the Sesqui Park location, was to make up for the loss of the one bridge. All that being said, we worked fantastically with Texar, and Luke did such a great job for them that I got to witness for several hours, that I'm actually stealing him to operate the SAG net for the MS 150. So he's going to be dragged up to Bryan with us for the MS 150 because he did such a great job. But everybody worked well together. The only problem we did have was involving the sweep and broom teams. There was supposed to be, for those of you that have worked any type of a race, a broom is supposed to be the last vehicle, basically the person who gathers up, and that's the end. And after the broom, there's not supposed to be any participants. Well, the two broom boats that were assigned by the boat team decided to go halfway through the race, and they left many boaters behind them, and there were many boaters in front of them. So it was very difficult to tell sometimes where the actual end of the race was. So we wound up stopping using them, and we used the Texas Fire Department rescue boat as a broom boat as we got closer towards the end of the race, because there was a mechanical issue with one of the rescue boats, and they were kind of stuck at the Woodway takeout for a couple of hours. until they were able to come back up. And at that point, they acted as broom until until the village took over. So
yeah, keeping in mind that, you know, the choice of what we used depended greatly upon whether or not we were able to track them. So, you know, that the most trackable station that we had was the Texas Fire Rescue Boat. So that was the one we were able to center on for use of the broom.
And I will throw one more thing out there. Mike Lavender, AE5Z Golf, who's also mentioned a couple minutes ago. He was involved in saving a life at the station where he was at the conservatory. A woman was injured and was bleeding profusely, and he helped to coordinate getting the EMS there and assisted the woman and kept her calm and everything, and worked with the EMS people once they got there. And he did a really good job of that. So, and they actually thanked us. The family thanked us profusely for being there. So kudos to Mike. That's all
This is Mike. I was curious about that. If anything was going to be said. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the comments.
Okay, guys, are we ready to move on? Kirk,
Go ahead.
Kirk, appreciate the debrief. Very well done.
Thank you.
Jeff, I didn't know if you were going to participate in the Texas Net tonight, so I put you up close to the top. You want to say something about the South Texas section and what's going on?
No, I'll save my time for the 150.
Okay, well then let me see. If you guys, can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, let me click here. Let me do this.
Well, we can see your head. You didn't start sharing yet.
Yeah, we don't, you're not sharing your screen.
Okay, that's what I meant to ask you. I didn't know if I had to reshare it after he took over control.
Yes, you got to share it again.
Now can you see it?
There you go. Good to go.
Okay, well, let's see if I got control of my slides. There we go. Okay, I asked Alan to give us a briefing. He couldn't be here, but he says, and for those of you that are interested, there is a Facebook page called Transtar Oxcom that you can search and see it. This is what he posts the status of Transtar. So this is effective March 15th. They've added a few notes. N5TRS remains on the same frequency and same tone. K5 QDG is a 2-meter repeater on 147.1. That's new with a tone of 103.5. And K5 QDG is also on 0.7 meters, and it's a 443.975. So those are new. There's a DMR repeater that remains on 441.775. And we now have a GMRS repeater on 462.55. He's asking for people to play with them and see how they work and give them feedback. And we can use the K5 QDG repeaters if we schedule them. And then this last one, I'm sort of wondering if this one got us last night for the Northwest unit check-in, if we were having troubles because of the spectrum. I don't think so, but that was an interesting comment that he's made.
2 meters was open last night, almost the entire Gulf Coast, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, big opening.
Really, I wonder would that cause a lot of our problems. Of course, 145/370 is sort of far in, and it's not the highest repeater around either. I think it's only at the 300-foot level. So anyway, I don't know much, but I'll answer any questions if anyone has them. I'm not real familiar with what they're doing down there, and this is what he gave me. Any questions?
Who's running the GMRS repeater?
I assume that's N5TRS.
Okay.
But he didn't.
Isn't that Lee Lockwood?
Could be, but they don't use, you can't request on GMRS, you can't request a specific call sign. So there may be a call sign there that's, you know, an SEC provided.
Yeah, roger that. I just want to know if I start using it, if I have any issues, who I call to notify.
I would contact Alan and ask him if he, what the process is for booking it, whatever.
And I think it's also represented on the texasgmrs.com website as well.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah.
It is on there. It just had been down for a long time. So.
Right.
Is there a color code for the DMR repeater?
Hey, do you know? I haven't looked at
There
it.
is. It's a DCS, but they do request that you join. You gain access by joining the Texas GMRS group. I think that's what they want you to do.
For
Or
the
Lone Star
DMR repeater?
I think he said DMR.
Oh,
Dave.
I'm sorry. I'm GMRS. Go ahead. You got the information on that one, Lee?
Yes, sir. TransStar Houston is color code 7. It's carried on the Lone Star Sea Bridge. And time slot 2 has Texas statewide on push to talk. Local 2 full-time, Southern Plains 3175, Houston Metro 8207, and SET ECG 8686. That's the Southeast Texas Emergency Communications Group on full time. So that's going to be the talk group we do the South Texas ARES DMR net on. So if you want to know information about the repeater, you can go to dmrtexas.net, and it lists all the repeaters in our area that are connected to DMR.
Any other questions? Other questions?
I'm going to reach out to you, Lee, on your Zoom call about that DMR stuff because I want to see.
Well, I was actually going to do a presentation tonight, but unfortunately I have to run the state net for Jeff and company. So I have to bail out a little early, but I was planning on doing that, and I can do that for you or anybody else, any group. I'm probably going to be doing it for a couple of radio clubs coming up, as well as Northwest 14 and District 1. So you know how to reach me.
Yeah.
Can you publish the information on the group, on the IO group?
The IO group or the DMR information page?
Well, I think I'm from the IO group side, so I haven't joined the DMR yet. So just
you don't have to join the DMR. I just gave the name of the website where you can look up the information on all the DMR repeaters. As far as groups.io, you're talking about the District 14?
Yeah.
Okay, what information would you like put up there?
Well, the one that you just mentioned for this particular DMR.
Oh, it's an entire course. It's like I think 67 slides. It's an entire PowerPoint presentation, and I don't have it narrated. I have to do it live. But I will put it on there when we do give it.
I think we want to try to hold that as part of one of our next meetings. I'm hoping we can get back into Transpar next month, but we'll see. I just give you guys an update, although with the weather being what it is, it's probably worked out better than I thought. As was talked about before, the Metro Police are moved into the next conference room where we usually meet, and they've got the folded wall employed. It's not very soundproof, so, and we're limited to about 20, maybe 25 people in that one conference room, and we have more than that tonight, so we wouldn't fit. Plus, we have noise issues, so we decided to hold this meeting as a Zoom call. Ben, are you still on there? Do you have any update as far as what's going on with them getting out of there?
No, but I'll get it. They were still having mechanical issues on the transportation floor. And I haven't heard if they've got a resolution to those issues yet, but I'll get you an update, Sherwin.
Well, we won't have to worry about it for another 3 weeks, but that's when we'll make a decision. It's about 3 weeks from now. If we can get back into Transstar, I'll get us back in there. But right now, I don't think it would work for us, so we're doing Zoom. And with the weather tonight, I think it's a double good thing we did. Any other questions on this stuff? Okay, Jeff, you're up. Muted, Jeff.
All right, somebody has to let me have it.
Kirk, are you running that thing? Or you share? There we go.
Go ahead, Jeff.
All right, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
We can see your head.
You need to share. You need to hit the share button too.
I did.
You share, choose your screen, then hit the share blue button.
There you go. It's coming.
He's come. There you go.
Good.
All right, here's my, what do they call that? A splash screen. I think I have 14, 15, 16 slides. That's about it, but I'll talk a lot. And why is this not paging down? Oh, there you go. So we're going to talk about Texas MS 150 communications, what jobs are available for amateurs, an overview of all of the routes, and rest stop organization. There is our colorful logo. So my background on this event, those of you that want to know, I started out as a SAG driver for the Alamo Challenge in 1994. No cell phone, no radio, no nothing. Just a driver's license. I became an MS-150 SAG driver in 1994. I stayed a SAG driver until 2007. In 2007, I was appointed to the Volunteer Steering Committee on the SAG group. Then in 2008, they formed a new committee called Breakpoint Management. I was the chairman of that committee, and my directive was to clean up the breakpoint chaos. Our event at that time had gone from about 8,000 to about 11,000 in 1 year. We grew like 3,000, and it was crazy. Those of you that have done other bike rides, and of course all of them are smaller, unless you do RAGBRAI, the SAG vehicles usually just drive in and out of the rest stop at will. There's no control to that. People put their bikes wherever they can, including leaning up against your car. They will ride their bike all the way up to the food line and straddle their bike while they're getting food or something to drink. Well, we can't have that with the thousands of people that we have in our event. So I teamed with ARES and CERT to complete the mission. At that time, ARES was, District 14 was run by Ken Mitchell, KD2KW. And I met for the first time Marnie Rosen and Penny Clark, who were the CERT representatives that came to the meeting that we had at the Red Cross building. I was appointed to the Houston Steering Committee as a chairman in 2012. It was supposed to be a 4-year deal. I'm still the steering committee chairman. This is the original letter sent to then DEC Ken Mitchell, who became the very first driver for the position that I had and Marnie had. It reads, we at the MS-150 have a need for 8 groups of 4 radio operators directing SAG traffic, vehicle traffic around the breakpoints, as they called them back then. If you would like to make it an ARES training event, all of the SAGs use MERS radio to communicate car to car and car to breakpoint. As you know, this event has all of the training points necessary: served agency need, deploy to an unfamiliar area, communicate as necessary in a mode other than 2-meter or HF. In the old days, they used to use HF with ham and non-hams, and that's the challenging point. And that's the challenging point as we sit here in 2022. You have to communicate with people that aren't on a radio. You overnight in an unfamiliar area that is provided by the served agency. When I first started out, I slept in my car. But now, and then we had campgrounds that we went to where we slept 8 in one room, and we're on bunk beds. How many is too old to get on a bunk bed? Raise your hand. Me, I'm too old. And then redeploy the next day to a new unfamiliar area, start all over. And the group that I would be in charge of was independent of what Mike in 5VCX and John Hall in 5JRH whatever they needed. They took care of they were responsible for the communications. However, they are still the governing bodies when it comes to the communications aspect of the event. The EMS office will provide a vehicle for each of the 8 groups for transportation and equipment. In the old days, we used to have at least one 15-passenger van that went to every rest stop. And the ARES teams carried their personal gear, tents, their everything was in that van. The number of hams under your direction, being Ken Mitchell, could fill this need with ease. Just in Harris County alone, how many hundreds of radio operators do we have? There's no credit check involved. There's no background check involved. Well, actually, except for the driver of the vehicle. And are you up to the challenge? And it was signed by me in 2007 as a SAG co-coordinator. What jobs are available for amateurs for this event? There are 22 committees that support this event. We need communications at all of the sites. The amateur station is the voice for the rest stop manager. There are SAG stops. There's communications from the CERT team between the managers and the rest stop entrance control. So nearly all of I don't know if that's true for 2022, but in the past, every ARES person and every CERT person was given a MERS radio. So that every person, regardless of how important they were or how not important they were, they received a radio. Communications on the routes. We have last year, which we didn't go. The motorcycle marshals, they had 65, and all 65 are required to be ham radio operators. The SAG, which I was brought up to be Special Assistance Group. Other people call it the support and gear. Sorry, I've driven SAG for a long time and I don't provide any gear. So forget that. 25% of the hams for this event, 25% of the SAG drivers or their navigator are hams. Only 25%. Some ride marshals will carry radios and listen while they ride. Although they cannot communicate, they can listen to the net and kind of follow along with what's going on along the route. In the old days, every supply truck driver had a ham radio person in their vehicle. There was always 3 people on that truck. One was the driver, one was his assistant or her assistant, and the other one was a ham radio guy. The last 2 ham radio folks in supply trucks were, I'm drawing a blank on it, was John Moore. He passed away, about 5 years ago, N5KU or something like that. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of the guy from the Northeast unit, but he was the very last one. And now I don't think they have any ham radio folks in the supply trucks. And this right here is the culprit. Pre-event preparation to post-event demobilization. All of these radios that we get in for the event, which we will pass out 325 commercial radios. We get the same ones every year. We have to make sure that the number is recorded and that the radios are programmed to what we need them to be. Just because we used them last year doesn't mean they haven't been changed or whatever. And then you have to do the reverse whenever the event is over. And there's actually a 3 to 4 step process for these radios. Mike Hardwick gets the radio sent into the MS office. Then he divvies them up, and I go and I get my stash, and then I have to do the same recording of numbers and assign them to each of the rest stops. And then when the rest stop amateur, whoever's in charge at the rest stop, is in charge of passing out the radios that they get, also in charge of teaching the person that's taking the radio from them how that radio works. In the old days, we had 2-channel MERS radios. I had 225 MERS radios that I owned at one time. I was the MERS king of Texas. So for the MERS radios, it was 2 channels. Channel 1 was to talk to the SAGs when they came in, because all the SAGs got a radio. Only they had mobile units instead of handhelds. And for the rest of the rest stop or breakpoint communications was done on channel 2. So if you want to talk to the SAG stop, you flip to channel 1. And if you wanted to talk to anyone else in the rest stop, you turn to channel 2. And then there are some special route assignments on event day that require or best assisted with a person that has an amateur radio license. And the medical team. Our medical chairman is a ham radio operator, although I do not know if he ever gets on ham radio. He has his trunked radio all the time. And there's one ham that is assigned to that group, and he is with the medical team supply truck. They've gone away from using hams in the 18 rovers that we have for this event. They use trunked radios now, as do the CERT vehicles. All the CERT vehicles, all of the SAG vehicles have trunked radios now. So they're getting away from using amateur radio, MERS radio, and commercial radios. They're going to trunk radios. About the event for this year and a little bit of history, the Saturday and Sunday, April 30th and May the 1st. This is the largest bike ride and the largest bike ride series in the United States. Yes, there are other larger bike rides. The RAGBRAI is the largest bike ride in the United States without a doubt. But the MS series of events has more participants than any other charity, and this is the largest bike ride in that bike ride series. For 2022, we have 4 starts with 4 routes on day 1, and we'll get to those in a minute. On day 2, we have 1 start that divides into 2 routes. We have 30 sites that need amateur radio assistance. That's 5 starts, 20 rest stops, 3 lunches, and 2 finish lines. As when at the last meeting at the MS office, we had 4,569 riders with a goal of 8,000. And their goal for fundraising is $8.1 million. The records for this event from 2013, we had 16,000 bike riders. They raised $23.4 million. They have plans on erecting, putting up 186 tents in LaGrange for this year. Can you imagine that? 186. This will be our 3rd attempt to finish at Kyle Field in College Station. Have not done that yet. Now they don't actually finish on the football field. They finish outside the stadium. Support vehicles will peel off one direction, and then the riders will take a turn, probably a right-hand turn, and go down the tunnel and onto the track that goes around the football field, where your fellow fundraisers and your loved ones and everybody can cheer you on and watch you on the big screen TVs and all that kind of what they call hoopla. We plan on passing out 325 commercial radios, 100 public service or trunked radios, for not counting any of the sites, just at the rest stops. We will have 598 porta potties. The largest one is typically rest stop 3 on Saturday, with somewhere around 60 at that one rest stop, 60 porta potties. We will use 18 supply trucks over the 4 routes. We will have 5 ambulances that we rent and 18 roving medical teams and 1 medevac helicopter on standby. And another note that we rent the entire Bastrop and Bisher State Park for the weekend. We rent every The one after Friday, no one else is allowed to come into the park to use the park. However, our event, if you know what the secret handshake is, you can go and camp out at either one of those parks since we're the one that rented them. Counties that we pass through are Harris, Waller, Fayette, Austin, Travis, Bastrop, Washington, Burleson, and Brazos County. We get almost no support from any county other than Harris, and that's it. Just about no other support from any other county on that list. Although we have amateurs in those counties, they're not good at participating. And Austin is not the city of Austin. That's actually Austin County. There's probably 5 hams in the entire county. So this is a map of all of the routes. If you can see my little pointer, the green one down here is from the Energy Corridor start at the Attucks Park and Ride. Where does who? The bike riders? Yeah. Everybody overnights in LaGrange. Almost everybody in the ham radio team, I've already assigned hotel rooms for everybody that is signed up right now, except for the command post. I have no control over any hotel rooms in Bryan. So every person is down here in Columbus, just as it was before. But we have to work out something else for the command post. It's a new overnight deal.
Hey, Jeff, quick question. Oh, sorry. Go.
Sherwin, did I get your question answered?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to ask, does the Houston Riders have an opportunity to go through a park? I mean, it seems like the Austin route's much nicer than the Houston route out to LaGrange.
Oh, no. No, and on the if there are folks that do not want to go through the park because of how hilly it is, there's a bus that will take them out on 77 and take them around and drop them outside of the entrance to Bisher State Park, where we'll have to have another ham radio team to control that area to head on to Winchester. But nope, they have no chance of doing that unless they do it on their own.
And are we staffing? Is Harris County, we're staffing between Houston and LaGrange? Is that the? Yes.
So
okay.
The same folks that volunteered in the past will staff where possible. It's going to be basically the same time. If you did rest stop 3 in the past, even though we have a new site, you're going to do rest stop 3 this time. But we've had a couple of teams that have kind of bowed out. Let me put George Fletcher on the spot here. He's retired from doing the MS 150. And so Sherwin is going to take over rest stop 7. And so that'll be a new spot for Sherwin, but it's George's old spot. And then that means he also gets George's old spot on Sunday, which is rest stop 1A, which is nothing but a field. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is 1A.
What was it you wanted me to comment on?
Oh, I didn't. I was just talking about you.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else got a question?
Yeah, is 1A the same as it used to be on the old route?
No.
Just the opposite
No, we
direction?
don't go that way anymore. So 1A is a little field that's on, it's actually pretty close to Saturday 7. It's a little bit north of that woman's house on.
Okay, I know where you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1A used to be a great spot on the old route, right there, right after the LaGrange when you're heading up the hill.
Yep.
That's where everybody sagged out because they looked at that hill and went, no.
Nope. Yep, that's right. That's right. Nope, I ain't doing that. Where's the sag? All right. What happened there? Okay. So Route 1. Or the legacy route that should have been first. Yeah, that one should be first. The Energy Corridor route. We have the mile markers on here. This is from the Ride with GPS maps that are put out by the event logistics team, Cadence. And these maps are actually, I don't know if they're live anymore. There were some discrepancies that I was notified of. And so we had to take them off of the published, and now I'm hoping that they're republished and that you can download this map and make your own maps or load it to your phone and follow along or whatever you want to do. But start number one is at the Energy Corridor at the Attucks Park and Ride. Rest stop one at about the 14-mile mark is at the at a park. There's like 4 softball fields or something like that. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the park. Rest stop 2 is just past 360 FM 362. It is at a huge oil field services company called I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a Spitzer company. Spitzer is one name, and then it begins with an O.
Horizon.
Horizon. That's what it is. Thank you, Marnie. Rest stop 3 is a volunteer fire department. At least it used to be a volunteer fire department. There's an old rusted out fire truck that's sitting in the field, but it's a huge field. And so that's a brand new site for us. And then we get up to 159 and then have lunch in Belleville. Rest stop number 5 is, as usual, in rest stop number 4 actually is in Nelsonville, same old place. So Earl Pack's entire team is not volunteering for this year. So we have to have a team that is that has been assigned there. They don't know it yet probably, but they've been assigned there because that is a very high SAG area. The sometimes they've actually put up 2 tents for the people waiting for SAG to sit in, and these aren't 10 by 10s. These are much bigger tents, and they have chairs. So the Nelsonville area is a very high SAG area. Rest stop number 5 is same old place, Industry. Rest stop number 6 is Fayetteville at their brand new fancy school district grounds. Rest stop number 7 is still at Mrs. Bayer's house, although she has a new front yard and it's been leveled out.
The side of the road. I did that stop before once upon a time.
Yep, it looks the same. It's just there's not as many pig wallows as there used to be in the old days. And then they continue on to 71 into the finish line in LaGrange. The Katy Legacy Stadium route has their own rest stop. It's called 1A, and that's at the Brookshire Royal High School, just as it's always been. Rest stop, they don't have a rest stop number 2 on that route. They merge with the Houston route and or the Energy Corridor route, and then their rest stop number 2, which will be called rest stop number 3 for everybody, is at that Zion Volunteer Fire Department. And then they'll do lunch and then continue on the same as everybody else from the Energy Corridor route. The Waller route starts out at the Waller Stadium, which is barely in Harris County. They have one rest stop before lunch, and that is at the Hempstead Football Stadium. And then they have lunch at Belleville, and then the rest of the stops are exactly the same as we've talked about. And then the Austin route, we use all of the rest stops going in reverse are brand new for this route. There are 4 rest stops. Only one is the same as it always was. It's in the same town, Winchester, but it's on a different site. So the start for Austin is right in the street, right in front of the Capitol. The first rest stop is at an elementary school, right around where rest stop 5 used to be in the old days. Rest stop 2 is at a place called Spiderwood Studios. There's an old active fire department number 1 is on that same property. Lunch is at the entrance, or just across the street from the entrance to Bastrop State Park. It is at a American Legion Hall. So as I say, that anyone that doesn't want to actually ride the hills through the park can get on a bus and go around the park on 77 and then be taken up in front of the entrance to Bisher State Park and be dropped off there to continue on to Winchester. So the Bisher State Park is rest stop number 3, and the church in Winchester is rest stop number 4. It's on the wrong side of the road, but nobody goes that way, so it shouldn't be a problem. So for day 2, this is called the Carmine. It's not Carmine, it's Carmine Route. So it takes off when you leave the fairgrounds in LaGrange. You have a choice: go to the left or go to the right. If you go to the left, then you're on the Carmine Route, and you will go through Waldeck, which is here at mile marker 12, and then rest stop 2 is actually in Carmine at the Carmine Bank, and then they take this little funny jog to merge with the other route and to go over Highway 290. And rest stop number 3 is in Burton, and then they go to lunch at Somerville, Lake Somerville. We have a very large area at Somerville. It's very nice. As long as it doesn't rain, it should be wonderful. Rest stop number 4 is right next to the Triple J Ranch. It is just kind of out in the middle of nowhere piece of land that'll be picking up and dropping off, picking up water and dropping off water. That's it. Porta potties and water is all it's supposed to be, although we will try and work in sag stop, medical, and bike repair as best we can. Then the last rest stop on the Carmine Route, or actually the whole route, is the Snook ISD Sports Complex. It is brand new. It is huge. It's wonderful. And then on into College Station.
Hey, Jeff. Patrick
Yes, sir.
here. You mentioned about this stop in Burton. Is it at the school or where?
Yes.
Where?
Yes, it's at the school.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
For the College Station or the Round Top route, you take a right coming out of the fairgrounds and take the feeder road north of 77 and go down to Highway 159 and turn left and go up to we call it the Bauer Field. That's the name of the street that the field is by. So that is rest stop number 1A. Rest stop number 2 is at the Blue Hills Antique facility. It's very nice, very roomy, very bike ride friendly. Then they take the little jog after merging with the folks on the Carmine Route and go to Burton, and then the rest of it on into Kyle Field is exactly the same as the Carmine Route. So the rest stop organization, for those of you that are new or don't know or don't care. So the person that we'll use rest stop 4 as an example, the supreme being at the rest stop is the manager, and the manager is a CERT person. This person has been trained with one exception. It's been a CERT trained person every time, and that one exception is on this call, and it ain't me. The rest stop manager is the supreme person, and what their job is to do is to make sure that all of the entities at the rest stop get along, and everybody sets up where they're supposed to set up, or if it has rained or something else has happened where we can't set it up as predetermined by previous year's experience, then you come together as a group and decide what it's going to be for the betterment of the event, and you set it up. The SAG stop comms leader, that is the lead amateur radio person for that site, and a branch off of that SAG stop comms leader position, you should have, back in the days when we had 16,000 riders, you had 4 people that worked at the SAG stop. You had the amateur radio operator that was at the SAG stop, and that is their job is to keep in contact and listen to the nets. And possibly, and I don't know why we don't do this, why SAG Stop 4 doesn't call SAG Stop 3 on simplex just to see if they can do it. And if they can't do it, they need to get a higher antenna. But that almost never happens, where one SAG Stop will call another SAG Stop to find out what's coming. But SAG Stop 4 communications, and then you have a ground person. You have a ground person that is the person that is responsible for making sure that they protect the area that is the SAG Stop. Some of these sites are not huge, and so people, the riders will lay their bikes down anywhere they can, and over time, it's just like ants. You turn your head, and they've taken over your spot, and they've laid down their bike, and they're gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. So they're responsible for keeping their area just so. Also make sure that the area where the vans pull into is just so they can park and unload safely off the road most of the time. And then there is a scheduler person that has a clipboard, and it's just like getting a reservation at the restaurant. When the person wants a ride, they go up to the person with the clipboard, and they take down their rider number, and that way order is kept, and they don't have to stand in line like they're in kindergarten waiting to go to get a drink of water. They can leave and go get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, find some shade or whatever they want to do, go get something to eat, knowing where they are on the schedule. And if the SAG man shows up, your number is going to be called. And if you're not there, it's going to be skipped. It's not going to be crossed off. It's going to be skipped. And then the next time that happens, if you're skipped again, you're probably going to be crossed off, assuming that you've done something alternate to continue on down the route. And then you have, of course, that Rest Stop 4 amateur station. That's under the SAG Stop comms leader person. And they have, there's a CERT team leader, and there's medical leader. There's, I think there are 6 entities out there. There's cops, there's bike repair, there's the sponsor, all these things at the rest stops. Supply truck. So this is the frequency list from last year. Everybody's looking at like, let me write that down. Nope, don't write it down. You'll get it the night before the event. Don't to worry. The trunk radios will use the Gators and the Tex Warn trunk systems in addition to what you see on this list. The commercial radios that you see on the bottom of the list, the 16 channel radios, that's what is programmed. Of course, some of the names will change to suit this year's event. I'm not using the Renfest or Whitehall, but basically this is it. So, any questions?
I guess I have one question, Jeff. As far as signing up, we just go to the MS-150 site. How do we sign up to volunteer?
So you should have received an invite to sign up from Charlie Matthew a couple months ago, but you can, Charlie Matthew.
Yeah, the best place to go is if you go to, we have a landing page separate from the MS-150 site, similar to what Houston Marathon does, or rather I should say they stole the idea from us, but whatever. If you go to Texas MS-150 hams, all one word, .org, that's the current web address. That's our landing page where you can get to the various sign up links. You have to sign up each year to get information specific to that year, so that we know that you're interested in participating. And we go from there and finding you a spot. Still looking at a couple breakpoints and some other ancillary task locations and things. So if you are free that weekend or portion of, love to have you come out and participate. But the sign up is a two-step process. There is what we call the com form, which is the first link on our page there, and then there's a second step, which is actually your official volunteer registration with the MS Society, which is a separate link. But do those two things, and we'll get in contact with you and figure out what you can do for the year. Also on that page is what's called the general information mailing list, which is kind of a larger mailing list that you can join. There's only maybe 5 or 6 emails that come from that in a given year, but that's just the one where you can just kind of put your name in so that to make sure that you get a notice that, hey, the signups are ready, or to remind you that the signups are ready for a particular year. But that's where we pull in that information and go from there.
Anyone else with a question?
Yeah, I have a question, Jeff. This
Yes,
is
sir.
Russell Richter. For those of us who've never done the MS 150 before, at what point are we going to find out what our assignment is going to be?
Everyone who has signed up, well, I haven't looked today, but as of yesterday evening, everyone who had signed up has been assigned. And everyone has been assigned a hotel room.
Oh, so maybe I didn't sign up correctly. I'll have to go double check that, I guess.
No, I have not seen your sign up. So it's possible that you signed up as a general volunteer or something with the MS Society, and usually they're pretty good about kicking you to the right committee. If they see a call sign, they know it's ham radio.
Okay.
But evidently, if you've signed up, you didn't do the two-step process, or you signed up with the staff and doing something for them, and not with ham radio.
Yeah, so if you just want to send an email to my call sign, which is November 0, actually Foxtrot Delta at Texas MS 150 hams.org. I can just do a cross check there. I'll be doing a cross check between our com form and the volunteer signups this week. Sometimes we get a few straight people, so we'll get that figured out. We certainly want to get a test and such assigned for you at least a couple weeks out as best you can.
Okay, and it was N0XFD at what?
Texas, TEXAS, MS, and then 150, and then hams, HAMS.org.
Okay, thank you.
How's the volunteer picture looking? Do you still have needs for hams?
Yeah, I would say that there's probably a good, probably about 10 slots that we're kind of ideally wanting to get staff. Some of those are some of the Austin breakpoints, which that's a little bit of a drive, but there's some of the little kind of ancillary spots that we like to staff if possible along some kind of key places around the route, as well as I think some of the start and finishes. There is a live sign up sheet that kind of show the statuses of what are some of the openings and stuff right now. Last time I looked.
So this is Patrick, Jeff or Charlie. I guess I'm a little bit late on signing up. So yeah, this is a good meeting that remind me to sign up. So and Jeff, as you know, I typically support the industry, breakpoint or rest stop 5. So I don't know if that's the opportunity is still there or not. So.
Yeah, we're still there, and you have 2 people signed up for your site, and that's it.
Okay, yeah. So I will sign up, and I will recruit some of the former volunteers to see if they are available. So yeah.
All right, yeah, knock them in the head and say, sign up.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, sorry,
Yeah.
Jeff, this is Marnie.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you plug the CERT ARES meeting next Wednesday, April 6th?
So Wednesday, April the 6th, as she said, I'll just say it in reverse, is the CERT ARES meeting, the annual CERT ARES meeting. It is at the Harris County Department of Education building over off of Irvington. We will send out a formal invitation to everyone that has signed up, and we have to have an RSVP, which Charlie's going to send out something where you have to do an RSVP of some kind so that we order the right amount of food. If you don't RSVP, you don't get a wristband and you don't get any food. It's a huge, two huge rooms that we're going to get, and to be just like we were at TransStar, where you had the accordion divider going between the two rooms, and this place is bigger than what we got at TransStar, and so we feel very fortunate that Marnie and her group at the City of Houston has a partner in another department that allows us to use their building since we can't use TransStar. We will have shirts to pass out at that event. I think we will, if they still have them in the warehouse. And that's the easiest way to get your shirt. All these routes, if you don't, if it becomes very, very difficult to pass out the shirts if they're not done at a meeting. Can we? Yes, but it is tough. And by the time we get to your side, it's probably wadded up and all wrinkly, and you look terrible. We don't want you to look terrible. Anything else, Maren?
I can give you that address to Harris County Department of Ed. 6515 Irvington Boulevard. That's Houston, Texas, 77022.
And it'll follow the same format as we had done at the other meetings. You'll sign up, get your shirt, get your my printed talking points, and we'll go over. We have different stuff this year. We have different routes, and we haven't been together as a group in what, 3 years now. So it'll be similar but different. Anyone else?
Just to add, for more of a query, just to get the word out with respect to, their hands are available, but also looking for resources, particularly people who may have or know people that have QTHs with respect to their home stations in the general area bounded north of 290 and then between Highway 6 and whatever, basically up to College Station. It's kind of a big dead spot with respect to APRS resources. So if somebody who's got a home station up there, you might be interested in either running a APRS fill-in Digi or even an iGate. I'd love to get in talk to you. But other than that, that's all I got.
So can you mark up a map of the area that you want? Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just print it, put a big circle around it, send it to me. I'll see what I can do behind the scenes.
Sure, we'll do.
Jeff,
anybody else?
What day was that meeting again? Next week?
April the 6th.
Okay, thank you.
This is Mike. What was the zip code on Irvington? Is it the zip code?
77022.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff, this is Patrick again. So just another question. Looks like I definitely will miss the April 6th meeting. So is it better then to have somebody to pick up the shirt from you, I guess?
Yeah, you can send one of your, what I call minions. Send one of your minions down there.
Yeah. Okay.
What time is the meeting on the 6th going to start?
I think it starts at 6, and then I think maybe the food starts at 6:15 or something like that.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question about the shirts.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a conflict on that day. We're doing CERT training for the CERT rodeo. Can I pick up my shirt at the CERT rodeo? Is that possible? Or other material that I'm going to need to pick up?
I'd have to think about how to logistically do that.
Either that or off the air, make other arrangements.
Okay.
Shouldn't the CERT rodeo be done about 2 hours before this meet's going to start?
My training class is in training class is in Richmond. There is no physical way I could get from 5 to 7 on a Wednesday to 6:30 to 8:30 on the other side of Houston.
Jeff, this is Mike, AE5MZ. I'm
Yes,
gonna
sir.
work the CERT rodeo like I do every year.
Yeah.
And also the MS. Could I get her stuff and take it to the CERT rodeo?
Sure. There you go. Ain't this easy?
Yeah, because either that or we just make other arrangements. I'm kind of close to where you live, Jeff.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anything else? Marnie's talking, but she's muted.
I'm not talking.
Are you coughing? Too many cigarettes?
No, sir.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Already running long. Dave, I'm going to kick it over to you. Do you guys see my screen?
And I'm going to kick it right back to you, Sherwin, because like, again, for sake of time, as far as the district communications plan, it is posted on the Harris County ARES website, and we've updated the Northwest and the Southwest. I think we're good. So we still have outstanding actions from Southeast and Northeast, and I need to get with Scott on Northeast. Have we got an EC for the Southeast yet, Sherwin?
No.
Okay.
I've been asking people, but Jeff, have you heard anything?
Nope.
Well, we'll have to work on it.
Don't worry about it. Carry on without them.
Okay. But anyway, I hand it back to you, Sherwin.
Thanks. Peter, you ready to go?
Yeah, sure. Let me
you need the screen?
Yeah, let me have the permissions to share, and I'll share.
It stops, so you should be able to get it.
Okay. Let me see here. I'll do this, I think.
Got something.
Yeah, you got something. Okay. How's that look? You should be able to see the front page there of the Woodlands Marathon website. Yeah, so if you were paying attention earlier, you would realize that the Woodlands Marathon happened on the same day as the Buffalo Bayou Regatta. So those of you who know, I do help out with a number of events in the area with GPS tracking using my mapping tracking platform. And so I actually provided support for the Buffalo Bayou Regatta as well as the Woodlands Marathon the same day. So yeah, multiple events on the same day is definitely doable. But so the Woodlands Marathon, we had it's a three events on the one day. There is a 5K run and a 2K family fun walk event. Though the 5K run and the 2K events happen the week before the marathon, half marathon, and 10K. So with these three events, there were, I believe, 4,500 people. And basically, it's a, it's a full full marathon, half marathon, and they have different people competing in the event. You know, here are some of the photos from this year. So they had some wheelers involved. They had a whole bunch of, you know, two-legged people involved, and I didn't really see any of these people because I was in the room the whole time. But the wheelers started a little bit early, and they actually made their way around the course in pretty good time. The course is kind of interesting. Just out of interest, you know, so they have different classifications of competitors that compete, and so we had the wheelers. They have elite runners, and they have some, I guess you'd call them non-elite marathon runners and half marathon runners. But the Woodlands Marathon is a qualifying event for the Boston Marathon. So there are some people that show up and try and do really well. And so, you know, they certify the course just like the Houston Marathon does. They just don't have as many competitors running on the event. The course itself is kind of interesting. We'll get to that a little bit later. As far as the volunteers from the ham community goes, this is the web page that I have for the volunteers. I actually manage a few other events in the Woodlands area, which includes the Ironman Texas and the Wood Forest Bank Triathlon, both of which are coming up within a couple of weeks of the MS 150. So if you have a hankering to help out with the Ironman event, which is an interesting event, it has a 113-mile bike course that uses the southbound lanes of the Hardy Tollway. So we actually have competitors and aid stations between, you know, the Beltway 8 and the 610 loop on the Hardy, that we have some opportunity for people to be there. But anyway, so this is my website. And yes, I do help out with the Houston Marathon, and it is a bit different from other things. So as a volunteer, you would come in here and provide your information, and I ask a few questions here about what kind of equipment and what kind of assignment you're interested in, so that when I'm making the assignments, I can take all these things into account. I also have a database in behind here so that it'll send out an email. Wait until you verify the email before any other emails get sent. It doesn't, you know, it tries to take the assumption out of emails working by giving me a way of seeing, hey, who's actually responding to these emails and who is not. Once you do sign up though, and the assignments are made, this page becomes available. So you can, like, oh, I need to refresh the page. You can, you know, find yourself in the list, and over on the side is the map, and it's got the call signs for the people who are assigned to a fixed location to really help them figure out where their assignment equates to in terms of the event on the day. And I try and make it nice for people who are new, so that for people who are new, they can get a little script kind of sheet that they can print out that's customized according to their call sign, and it's got some little bits of suggestion on here as to what they can say, so that, you know, when they get rid of that, so that when they key up, they don't get the deer in the headlights kind of thing happening. Hopefully they have the script and they can read off at least some of what they're meant to say over the air. So I've tried to make this event over the years reasonably friendly to new supporters of events and people that are very experienced, of course, relied upon as well. I try and keep it simple, try and keep it straightforward. My procedures document is like 10 pages long, and probably one of those pages is a cover sheet and one of those is the index page. So it's really 8 pages of information. So I try and make it easy for people to focus on what's important to do, to be able to do a good job with helping in the event. So this is the what the event looks like on the ground, and by comparison, this is the half course for the Houston Marathon, and the reason I bring this up is because I wanted to point out that the event starts over here, and for about the first 8 miles or so, they pretty much share the road with the full marathon course. So Houston Marathon goes up to 8 miles or so. In contrast, the Woodlands Marathon manages to get basically 11, a little bit shorter of 11.5 miles, 11.6 miles in common with the full marathon course. So this means that there's a lot more road that is actually reused, and all of these stations, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they have full marathon and half marathon competitors going by there. And in fact, station G and K, I think, maybe not K actually, but they have also the 10K runners who use that same bit of road and aid stations as well. So G, K, J, you've got a lot of reuse here in terms of the aid stations and the people manning them, and not having to set up distinct stations for all of those people. So it cuts down actually on this event compared to what we used to do. We used to have to go way out down here, and it was like 2 separate courses that had hardly any overlap. This one is really good about maximizing the reuse, cutting down the number of aid stations and people that you need to make the event workable. And I think that because it does not spread out so far to the west, it also means that the vehicles have shorter routes to travel to get people from over here sagged back to the start finish area. So I actually like this course, but yeah, so we actually had on the day, we had 23 volunteers show up. We had 1 person that was an overnight disappearance because of a family medical emergency, but everybody else showed up and did what they were meant to do. I had about 28 volunteers at the peak. Some people had to pull out, but of the ones who said that they were expecting to come, we only had 1 person that was a no-show. So we had all of the aid stations except for this one over here, Delta, covered with a radio operator. And the event started at about a little bit before 7 a.m. and by about 9:30, this whole section of road from the start up to this point up here was already opened up for normal vehicular use. So we were in pretty good shape. We had 4 SAG vans that are operated as part of what the amateur radio community does in support of the event. And this year we transported about 30 people, which is about half the number of people that were shuffled off onto the footpath system. We actually provided transport for them. So I think we were pretty well sized in terms of the number of SAG vans we had. And I'm really appreciative of the people that volunteered and helped out with the event. We would not have been able to do the job that we did for the event without everybody's help. So thank you very much. And I'll take any questions. All right, not hearing any questions. I guess I'll hand it back to Sherwin.
I have a question, Peter. Who benefits from this? I assume they're trying to collect donations. So I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. So the organization that runs it is pouring money back into the organizations that support the event. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who the major beneficiary is of the event, but they do actually pour money back in, and they they do try and support local charities. So they have a charity challenge here, for example. But let's see, sponsorship, and I don't know. I'm not sure who the main beneficiary is, but I know that they do pour funds back into all of the groups that turn out to support the event.
Yeah, I know, Peter, for instance, the Houston Marathon, they support a lot of running activities. They work with a lot of the schools, particularly disadvantaged schools. They fund some athletic opportunities, track and field, some of that. And of course, it takes money to actually run the event too. So they've actually got a charity, and like for the Houston Marathon, I want to say they've raised $50-60 million over the recent years for those types of ventures. So there is essentially a 501c3 type organization, charity organization, that they distribute that. They've got their own board of directors that manage those type of fund distributions. So while it isn't something like the MS 150 research, there are other avenues that they take the monies that are earned and put it towards reasonable causes.
Yeah. And I know that these guys are pouring funds back into the community. I'm just not sure where on the website that is.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Okay, Peter, would you release the screen? Let me have it back one more time.
Yep, sure.
Okay, last slide, guys. We finally got an updated schedule of public service events. I pulled this off this afternoon. It was updated in January. I think that was probably after our last meeting because it was different from the January meeting. The stuff in red are things that are rescheduled dates. So you can go out to, what is it? Houston ARES.org. Trying to think of the website. Jeff, help me. What's the website? Harris County ARES. That's it. Harris County ARES. You go out there. This is a calendar of public service events. And you, whoops, this is 20. It says 2020. Well, it's my fault. I didn't change the date at the top. The date at the bottom is the right one. 2022.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the difficulties that I have, I'm going to be beating the drums trying to get a couple people or a few people for the Tour de Rouge, which overlaps the MS 150. So one of the reasons I haven't volunteered yet for the MS 150 was trying to sort out if the Tour de Rouge was still happening, and I just got confirmation from Alan Bazard. So I'll probably steal one or two people on day 2, but I'll try to sign up and figure out how to do that.
So are you saying that Alan's not going to ride the 150, or is he going to do it all in one day?
I don't know what he's going to do. All I know is he's jumping through his skin to do something this week. He told me they couldn't talk to me this week. But anyway, in the past, I don't know if he's ridden the MS 150 or not, but I know he'll be there Sunday morning, and I suspect he'll be jumping through his skin. So I wouldn't expect him on a bicycle on the 150, because usually he's at the hotel trying to get everything slammed into place to initiate the bike ride on Sunday. I need to get those two organizations to separate their rides by a week.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh, I know he is. I carpooled with him for 10, 15 years.
The last time I saw him, we were getting gas at the pumps right across from each other out of Valero.
There you go.
Hey, Sherwin, the Hurricane Workshop is Saturday, June the 11th.
Okay. Have you talked to Rick about that to get this updated? I don't have control over this schedule.
Talk to who?
Look down here. There's my cursor. See down here where my cursor is?
Oh, okay.
Rick Broussard?
This is Rick Broussard, and that's his email address. Send him a notice so he can update it, please.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Any other business? We're done. Well, everyone, thank you for attending. Hey, quite a turnout. I was quite surprised. We're monitoring the situation at Transtar, and one of these months we'll get back in there. I do know they've relieved requiring the temperature check in the mask. Problem is we're contesting, we're attending for resource and accomplishment. I'll let you guys know what happens when. Anyone else? Well, thank you. You'll have a good night. Be safe tonight in the weather. If Joey activates us through transfer, I'll send STX.
Sherwin, your audio's fading out terribly.
I know. I'm gonna have. Is everyone else having trouble hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta figure out what's going on with the microphone.
Affirmative.
It's probably a setup with this camera microphone.
You have a buzz on your audio that sounds like you may have lost the ground, or you've got a loose connection somewhere.
Well, what I suspect is going on is it's trying to. I'm using a laptop with the lid down. I'm suspecting it's trying to use the microphone in the laptop.
It got better all of a sudden.
Well, I moved stuff around off the laptop. How about now?
Much better.
I had some paper sitting on top of the laptop. Isn't that interesting? So we learn a little bit every day.
My lightning detector's starting to go off, guys, so I'm going to secure and shut down my station.
Okay.
Hey, Sherwin, just as FYI, they've got an automatic gain control. And so what it sounded like, the gain control opened wide up. So when you block the microphone, it raised the sensitivity up, and it was picking up your 60 cycle hum. So that's probably what happened.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to go into the mic and see if I can detect which mic it's trying to use. It's supposed to be using the mic off of the camera, but I'm not sure it is.
You can ask Zoom in the setup, it'll tell you which microphone it's using.